Good morning everyone, I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to this new trades breakdown lecture of the trade which I took on the 13th of February 2025. This trade was a market maker buy model on Nasdaq. Now, for the format of this trade breakdown lecture, what I will do is I will walk you through my live thought process whilst I was looking at the markets and whilst I was engaging in the markets. In order to understand my thought process, we must first pay attention to this RE chart right here. When we open up this week, I outlined to you that my eye would be drawn towards this RECB to be the most important reference point to determine whether or not the previous week's high would be the drawing liquidity. The reason why is due to the fact that this RECB formed right in advance of that previous week's high. Notice that we saw the market go back and forth inside the price range all the way from Monday until Wednesday. However, on Thursday we saw something interesting occur, and that's the following. Notice that when we opened up for the day, we immediately dropped lower. Notice that we wicked outside of the price range of that RECB, outside this blue box, but notice that the bodies kept on closing inside of it. We then had A13 news, and what did A13 news get utilized for? It got utilized to reprice Nasdaq towards the upside. Notice that we saw buy side liquidity resting above the Asia high right here get taken out. And from this moment in time, what I'm waiting for in my mind is one thing. What I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for the market to show the signs of dropping lower. Why? Because look at the bottom right. It's after 9:30. So after 9:30, we immediately see the market run higher. So what is taking place? They're trapping everyone into believing higher prices are next. And as long as the market does not take out the previous week's high shortly after 9:30, I want to see a drop lower taking place so that I can look for a long setup. Why? Because they first trap buyers right now, buy this run higher, and at the same time, they're engineering sell side liquidity. Notice that when they then, however, begin to drop lower, all those buyers become impulsive and they change to a bearish stance, and they change to a bearish bias. This means that they're now trapping people into shorts, which means buy side liquidity is being engineered. Now, therefore, I'm simply waiting patiently on this RE chart. And this is what I mean, guys. Like, when it comes to my trading style, I am willing to wait and miss out on a potential run higher like this because I want to trade the move which makes the most sense to me logically. And the move which makes the most sense to me logically is when we drop lower before stopping right in advance of that previous week's high right here. I should say after, my bad. After stopping right in advance of that previous week's high, I want to see the market drop lower because that is engineering buy side liquidity above this high and above this high. What am I waiting for? I'm waiting for the market to get back into that price range which I outlined to you all the way in the beginning of the week. Now, isn't it wonderful to see me outline on Monday right here that I'm looking for the market to displace above that blue shaded box, utilize that support price to then run higher? All of this delivery which took place from Monday to Wednesday was all time distortion, guys. The real move took place right here on Thursday, where we opened low and immediately expanded higher. Now, before we drop into the 1 minute time frame, there's one very important key insight which I need you to see on this RE chart, and that's the following. Stop in advance of previous week's high, after 9:30, drop lower. Why is this important? Because we have now trapped buyers initially and we've taken them out. And by taking them out, we have trapped shorters now into believing our prices are next. However, what do we know? We know that they're looking at this as strong resistance right here. And therefore, I'm anticipating that to be the drawing liquidity moving forward. Let's drop into the 1 minute time frame. 1 minute time frame, what do I see? What I see is that the A13 news was very volatile, as you can see with this large wick right here. Whipsawing event. Buy side gets taken out, sell side gets taken out. Sell side liquidity resting below the 7 to 830 low gets taken out. We then see the market reprice higher, creating this large imbalance right here. Notice that in advance of this imbalance, you can see that we have sell side liquidity engineered right here below these relative weak lows. We see consolidation taking place between 9 to 9:30. 9:30 runs higher, and this is what I mean with that statement of trapping buyers into believing higher prices are next. And this is also what I need you to understand, that just because you see imbalances right here, it doesn't mean you're going to buy off those imbalances because you're not anticipating those imbalances to function as support on price. These imbalances are simply showcasing to you heavy one-side repricing. Notice that the market reprices higher quickly and stops in advance of that previous week's high. Small SMT forms here, and this is potential short, but I was not interested in shorting. Why not? Because I was interested in looking for longs only, as outlined, due to the fact that we displaced above that blue shaded box of that RECB and the previous week's high being the draw liquidity. Now, main takeaway so far. What I need you to take away from what I've just outlined to you is that I'm aligning myself with the hard time from institutional order flow, and I'm utilizing a predetermined point of interest moving forward to basically look for an entry opportunity. This engineered buy side, these sudden big down close candles confirm that, because everyone thinks, oh, we're bearish now. Everyone begins to panic, but I'm looking at that from the perspective of we're taking out sell side liquidity, rebalancing this inefficiency to then continue expanding higher. Now, what I'm answering right here is the following. I'm waiting for his time to align with price. And this is where many of you are like, okay, point of interest gets met and you try to buy right away. Nope. There's a sequence of events that I'm looking for to confirm every single market reversal. Now, what I want you to see is that we're about to drop into the 15-second time frame right here. And on this 15-second time frame, what I will do is I will annotate this high right here, this engineered buy side liquidity. This is the draw liquidity. Next to that, you can see that I'm annotating this down close candle. This down close candle right here was the down close candle which set up the repricing higher towards that current daily high. This down close candle is a bearish breaker. Why? High, low, high, high. This is where some of you might look for a short of. Why? Because you see imbalances through that and you think, okay, we're going lower. However, I am looking to buy of this down close candle because it's going to be my inverted bearish breaker, where I'm utilizing a premium rate to look for a long opportunity. But what else do you notice? Notice that this was the 9:30 open candle on the 15-second chart. Repricing above it is taking place right here. And at this point in time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I see that we already trade into it right here. However, I'm not willing to buy just yet. Notice that I'm hovering over the buy button, but this is not to me the entry yet, because I want to see the market trade below that 9:30 opening price once more. And this is where patience is required, guys. And this is where some of you are really struggling because you are chasing price. You see this imbalance form and you think to yourself, oh my God, that's my buying opportunity. It's going to run without me. I'm going to miss out on this move. I'm going to miss out on the expansion towards my draw liquidity. That right there is literally the most toxic mindset which you have. And therefore, you need to take control of your mind. You need to literally just stick to the protocol and basically say, okay, I'm only interested in buying of this level because that is what is predetermined to me. I already knew down here that I would look to go long off this down close candle. That is why I've annotated it. Surely I was looking maybe for the signs that we would not reprice into it anymore because we already repriced into it here. Because I did not see any SMT here, I knew that this was the engineering of liquidity in the form of trend line liquidity. You see how slow price is now? It's consolidating. We now see this big green candle. What occurs? Midnight opening price gets reached. Note that we also trade around that 900 price level. CB gets reached. Inversion fire gap gets reached. What's happening here? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. How are we going to distribute? Back into the price range of this down close candle, and I'm buying this. I'm buying these big down close candles. Why? Because this is where every single retail mind trader is now thinking we're going lower, lower, lower. And this is a function of IPDA, where it's manipulating lower so that smart money is allowed the opportunity to buy in a deep discount relative to the range from this low to this high. And here you can see me literally map out what I'm expecting in terms of delivery, where I'm looking for price to expand higher, retrace into that same down close candle, looking for a low to form there, then looking for the market to expand back into the price range of this CB, looking for a high to form there, followed by a retracement, followed by an expansion higher, followed by a new retracement, followed by an expansion towards our draw liquidity. I want you to keep this in mind when we are going to pay attention to the delivery which took place, because you are going to see a level of algorithmic precision that's absolutely undeniable. And I understand that for some of you, the fact that I'm speaking to you here with enthusiasm and with a risen tone might be a bit like, oh, he's trying to show off. Oh, he's trying to show how good he is. No, I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is literally sharing pure value with you guys. Like, It's not like I was born with this knowledge. It's not like I was just able to see this one day and boom, from there on, I became the trader that I am today. No, it took me countless hours of investigating, looking at the markets from a completely different perspective than that was taught by the majority of people. And then when you begin to pray for this level of understanding and you begin to put in the work, everything aligns. And you might look at this and you might think to yourself, how do you know it's going to deliver like this? How do you know that it's going to expand, retrace, etc.? It's because IPTA is following a playbook. And when you recognize what playbook it's following for that day, this is what I refer to as a delivery profile for that session, you can anticipate where retracements will originate from. You can anticipate how low they're going to retrace. You can anticipate when they're going to expand. And right now, this seems unreal to you. Right now, this is probably like, how is this possible? Understand that everything which was taught by the masses when it comes to supply and demand, being in control of these markets in terms of free market theory, etc., it's all a lie. This is a rigged game. And there are rules to the game, and you either benefit from those rules or you get manipulated against. And that is why I'm speaking to you in the terms of, okay, this is where the dumb money is doing something. And I'm teaching you how to think like smart money. I'm teaching you how to think like someone that has billions of dollars to their name. Or billions, yeah, it's a lot, but maybe hundreds of millions, right? This is what they're looking for, literally. And when you start thinking that way, even though you might not have that capital yet, and I'm not saying that you should ever strive to become a billionaire or whatever. It's something, I think being a billionaire is a big flex. Maybe one day I'll achieve that level. But just in general, think as if you had a lot of money. And when you start thinking that way and you start behaving that way, when it comes to your perspective on the markets, you are going to see things that are just hidden in plain sight. And you're going to be looking at these markets from a completely different perspective than the masses. Because you know the masses are always wrong. You understand that the masses are always doing the wrong thing. And therefore you need to be able to train yourself to against that. And that's going against your human nature. When you see these big down close candles, you might feel a sense of, oh, I'm scared. What if it runs against my stop? What if it continues dumping? What if this? What if that? That's all toxic thinking. From the moment I saw this confirmation inside of that point of interest, which I already outlined days in advance after taking out sell-side liquidity, followed by SMT right here, I already knew that 945 to 1015 would distribute. And that is the perspective which you will gain over time. Will all of you come to this level of understanding? No. However, you should still strive to do your honest best to come to this level. So a little rant in between, and I understand that some of you are just interested in the technicals, etc. But trust me, the magic that you look for, it's not in the technicals. The magic that you're looking for is in your mind. And when you pair that with a proper understanding of how these markets are booked by high frequency trading algorithms, this is the level of precision that can be achieved. Now, what you can see is that I'm typing out smart money enters long right here in this area. The sequence of down close candles is your bullish order block. This is a fractal market maker buy model. This is your original consolidation, smart money reversal. The left side of the curve was very quick, so anticipate the right side of the curve to be high resistance. Retracement is taking place. Boom, that's again a buying opportunity. Pay attention to what's occurring to the risk. I keep on throwing my stop to keep the risk around $2,000 right here on this position. Notice that they drop below the 930 opening price once more. And at this moment, what I'm monitoring, are we going to see big green candles coming soon? Because that is what I need to see in order to confirm to me that we're in fact going to see that very bullish order flow taking place. Notice that imbalance forms right here. Notice that this imbalance forms after we take out this high. So that means you saw this high form inside this CB, retracement into the down close candle, displacement higher, retracement into the imbalance variation of the market structure shift pattern. However, the confirmation of this being a smart money reversal already took place when we traded above this down close candle right here. And this is simply an entry pattern of the market structure shift pattern. But the order flow has already changed from bearish to bullish. Notice how every single down close candle is functioning as support on price. It shows you that every single retracement is being bought and bought and bought. And the way I want you to think of this is that what's occurring is that smart money is being provided the opportunity to buy in a deep discount because it's already predetermined that we're going to draw towards this high and the previous week's high. Why? Because that was the weekly profile, which was already pre-established. And therefore, what you will see is that the smaller fractals on a 15-second chart within just this window of between 9:30 to 10 are going to deliver within that overall bigger fractal. Now, what many of you do wrong, and this is like one of the things that I'm really going to double down on within teaching to you within the 2025 model series. Aligning yourself with bigger fractals. Because you look at this delivery and you think, oh, he sees an imbalance and therefore he's going wrong. Oh, he sees this price pattern and therefore he's going wrong. Oh, he sees this liquidity pool getting taken out and therefore he goes wrong. No. Guys, like, zoom out. Literally go over my weekly review again. My weekly review outlined to you if we displace above this blue shaded box, utilize the support on price, I anticipate that we're going to draw towards the previous week's high. That right there was the thought process for this week. We saw time distortion taking place from Monday to Wednesday. Thursday then displaced above this blue shaded box, retraced into it during the right time. What is the right time? During the regular trading hours. And then we see the market expand towards the upside. Now, what I'm wondering is whether or not the market is going to draw towards this high right here. Do you see how slow it is right here? This is a result of this left side of the curve being so quick. You see me type out. I'm trading in line with smart money. Expect big green candles to come soon. This is me calling out the expansion which is going to take place. Notice how every single retracement is leading to a new expansion leg. Now, the moment that price closed above this CB, what I'm monitoring whether or not this CB is going to function as support on price. My eye is drawn to this CB right here. The reason why my eye is drawn to this CB right here is because it's in the premium of the range from this high to this low. And this is going to be a partial for me. The reason why was because Trump was speaking in the afternoon. So there was one potential scenario in play where we might see the markets consolidate throughout AM so that they could distribute during PM. And I did not want to basically be up a lot of money and then just say, nah, you know what? I'm going to allow it to get back to break even. And whoever tells you that you should never take partials and just aim for full pulls all the time, like, guys, if you want to achieve consistency for the first time, just begin with taking partials. And it's going to be enlightening for you because think about it, right? Imagine if they would have formed a high here and then immediately distributed towards the downside because your analysis of continuation taking place throughout this morning session was wrong. How would you feel about that? Would you feel happy with that? Would you feel like, yes, I'm doing the right thing? Yes, I am happy with what I just did? No, you would be upset because you were up thousands of dollars and you literally allowed the market to come back all the way to your entry simply because of your own greed. In order for you to take care of that, what you need to do is you simply need to say, I'm parceling at logical levels. I'm going to see whether or not the market is going to continue or turn around. Now, what you can see is that I'm parceling nearly as well. The reason why was because ES already was taking out the previous cycle high. Because at 10 o'clock, a new 90-minute cycle, of course, opens up, which is the final 90-minute cycle of the morning session. Notice how they keep on consolidating inside that CB where I partialed. And here, ES took out the high. And what happened, what you can see is actually quite rather interesting. I parsed and it immediately expanded higher. And there the draw liquidity was met. And what I was monitoring here was whether or not we would continue higher. But eventually I full closed it here. And that was the trade idea done. And the reason why I full closed it is because I was not happy with the fact that we saw this rather large expansion higher so quickly stop right in advance of that previous week's high. So that told me that we would likely see a deeper retracement taking place again before new continuation could take place. Now, do you understand how this whole framework began on the higher time frames? How this whole delivery that we saw take place already was framed from the RE chart? And that's the perspective which I hope that you are getting from this lecture, where I can see that I literally began on the RE chart with you, walking you through the delivery and basically saying, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And if this, then that. If they stopped in advance of the previous week's high, I'm going to look for a market maker bar model. So with that being said, this lecture comes to an end. I hope that you found it insightful. I hope that this lecture will function as a source of inspiration to you. I know that when I first began studying these concepts and I saw my mentor, the inner circle trader, showcase this level of technical precision, to me it was so inspiring, words can't describe it. And I remember literally praying late nights to the Lord for giving me the ability to see this, to be able to see these markets with such clarity, and to be able to just say, this is what I'm looking for during this time. This is what will happen next. And I'm so grateful that I've achieved this. And I truly hope that you will get there as well one day. And I'm rooting for you. And I'm doing the best that I can to guide you as best as possible. And all I can ask you to do is just investigate. All I can ask you to do is pay attention to details. All I can ask you to do is just investigate the fine details and the order in which I'm explaining what I'm explaining to you. Everything I'm outlining to you has an order. And that means if this, then that. When you begin to see that, you are going to feel a sense of confidence that words can't describe. And for some of you that are completely new to my mentorship, are probably like, oh, this guy is just mumbling and he's just talking and whatever, right? But for those of you that have been here for a while, you see it. You do the math. One trade like this, a month, literally basically gives you the opportunity to never have to work a day in your life again. Just one trade. Not one trade per week, not one trade per day, not one trade per session, not one trade per 90-minute cycle. Literally one trade per month. Sure, you need to account for commissions, sure, you need to account for tax, etc. However, one trade per month, if it nets you, I'd say, anywhere between 5 to 10 grand, you could already say, okay, I never have to work a day in my life again. Think about that. Some of you, yes, you are setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. You're right now working and you're still in your 9 to 5. You think to yourself, you know what? I want to make 100 or a million a month, right? And you're thinking to yourself, that is what will define me as success. You know what my definition of success is? Never having to work a day in your life and just experiencing true freedom. That is true success. Stop chasing bigger and bigger and bigger. Because trust me, that's a game which you cannot win. It's an infinite game. If you compare yourself to someone else, you're always going to feel like you're not enough. The only person you should compare yourself with is the person in the mirror. Meaning the person that you were yesterday. Meaning the person that is lacking. The person that is not developing as best as he or she can. You should focus on basically fighting that battle with yourself. And when you start focusing on just improving and improving and improving, and you start just investigating and you're just so driven to have such clarity, eventually, I can't tell you when, I can't tell you if it's going to be today, or I can't tell you if it's going to be next week or next month or whatever, right? But I can promise you this. As long as you keep on showing up and you keep on investigating, everything will click. And when it clicks, you're going to be grateful for the fact that you spent those few years doing so. Because once you know this, you will never be able to not know it. Meaning it's just like riding a bicycle. I haven't ridden a bike in I'd say a few years now, but I'm confident that if I would pick up a bicycle, let's say tomorrow, I'll be able to ride it just perfectly fine because your subconscious knows exactly how to do it. And it's the same with this. Surely it might take a while for you to get back in sync. Surely it might take a while for you to, get back into that state of flow. However, you can literally just pick it up like that. I want to thank you for watching this lecture all the way to the end. I want to wish you good luck in your development, and I look forward to speaking to you soon again throughout the 2025 model series. Be safe.